and I'm going to record.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio, a lively hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives. Producer and host, aka Radio Red, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors, and technology innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's aka Radio Red.
To the wonderful voice of Ryan Treasure, who introduces me. I'm Radio Red, happy to be here. Where else would I be on a Monday? Seriously, how many years has it been? But recently I changed the name of the show from Read My Lips, that's the subtitle now, to The Creativity Show, hoping to capture more people looking for creativity. And do I have a panel of creatives with me today? There's one newcomer. Patti Lee is new. Welcome, Patti. And Ryan Melsom has been on before. And Ann Charles has been on a couple times. And before we start, let me see. I think I have some news here. Let's see what the news is. Okay, it is, let's see what day of the week. I've got so much in my notes here. Here we go. It is October 6th. It's the 279th day of the 2025 Gregorian calendar. Now, those of you who remember the Julian calendar, and I don't think any of you do, it was something funky about October, and I think the second week of October, the birthdays were missing for a while because Julian couldn't figure out how to align it with the moon and the tides, and it was very, very funky. So Gregorian came around and he said, I may be a pope, but I'm very creative. And he said, let's have a leap day every fourth year and call it a leap year. And all of a sudden, October got their birthdays back. My birthday's tomorrow, so I'm glad that I was maybe in the group that got reconsidered. So thank you very much. There are 87 days left in the year. It's almost time to start thinking about New Year's Eve. That means if you're going to drink something, you're going to concoct something, start planning now because everything's going off the shelf, even the ingredients very, very soon. And this is the 41st Monday of the year, and nobody cares about that except me. I promise you that. Okay, a couple quick things. Today in 1927, Ryan, I'm saying this for you, the first talking movie picture was released, The Jazz Singer, starring Al Jolson. Irving Berlin's song Blue Skies, Looking at Me is one of the first songs that the talkie audience heard. Isn't that something? And today, in 1956, Elvis Presley released Love Me Tender. I'm not going to sing anymore. They'll take me off the air. The title to his first movie and his first song, it became his fifth #1 hit in the United States. Elizabeth Shue, the actress. Remember her? Jennifer Parker in Back to the Future Part 2 and Part 3? Marty McFly's girl. She's 62 today. Happy birthday. Jeremy Sisto is 51, the actor who plays Jubal Valentine in the CBS drama FBI. And I have to tell you all, there's a young man, and I hope you don't get upset about this. There's a young man named John Rondi, R-O-N-D-I. He's 30 today. Why are we talking about him? He has 825 million views on his YouTube channel because his YouTube channel is called Johnny Drinks. And he only has 1.31 million followers, but 825 million views and 1,000 videos. He posts content about alcoholic drinks. I think it's all very respectable. But in 2021, he posted a video that said, what kind of drink can you make with an egg? I would have said eggnog. He had 23.4 million views. Today is also Mad Hatter Day, and it's National Noodle Day. And we can look back to old China for the origination of the noodles, and then they went to Europe and all around the world. And Mad Hatter, well, Johnny Depp played the Hatter in 2 films, and Lewis Carroll would be so surprised to know 150 years later, we're still talking about the Mad Hatter, Alice Through the Looking Glass, 2016, and Alice in Wonderland. There you go. This is October. It's dessert month. I'm ready. Pretzel month. Ready. Pumpkin month. Well, who knew? Seafood month. Caramel. Patti, do you say caramel or caramel? How do you pronounce that?
It really depends on who I'm talking to.
I thought maybe the recipe. If I'm eating it, it's a caramel candy. If I'm cooking with it, it's a caramel. Anyway, apple month, chili month, and pickled pepper month. And now I'm ready to formally start the show. So I have a gift for all of you, and I'm ready to go. Let's make sure we are recording and we're streaming. Yes, all systems are go. So here we go. Welcome to the Creativity Show, where inspiration takes flight. I'm aka Radio Red on my Scarlett Mic, live streaming bright. Today on The Fun of Creativity, my panelists will share how life's surprising twists inspire their storytelling with flair. Patti Lee, wave hello. Ryan Melsom, wave hello. And Ann Charles all take part, revealing cool insights from their own unique start. No blah, blah, yada, yada here, just discoveries true. An hour of savvy conversation awaits all of you. And here we go. Patti, you're up first. From small town beginnings where dreams quietly grew, Patti's life took detours, yet purpose was shining through. A champion for children whose voices she raised, now she champions stories that leave readers amazed. At 50, don't look it, Patti's stories took flight brave and clever. Between February and November, won many hearts forever. Now, Tanya, we have a problem, spins laughter and grace, where humor meets healing and truth finds its place. Welcome, Patti. I hope you like that.
Oh my God, that was amazing. That was amazing, Red. Thank you so much.
You're
I'm so
welcome.
happy to be here.
I'm,
Thank you.
I'm happy you're here too. I enjoyed telling you that. Ryan is next from Kamloops. This is new, Ryan. I had to redo it because you've been on before. From Kamloops' dry stage to horizons untold, Ryan chased meaning through stories of old. A scholar of culture, apocalypse, and mind, at 45, his true writer's path he would find. From his No Generation book to clickbait, Ryan's craft took form till gods of a new world broke free from the storm. Now worlds and ideas collide where Ryan dares to explore, a late blooming dreamer with galaxies in store. What'd you think?
Oh, loved it. Thank you so much.
You're
Beautiful.
you're welcome. And Ann Charles. From Ohio's fields to the Black Hills sky, Ann dreamed bold paths that refused to comply. Camel jockey denied. Law and travel took flight till fiction appeared and everything felt right. Now 38 books keep her magic unfurled, where mystery and laughter enliven Anne's world. A self-proclaimed plantser, we'll talk about that, and writes by design and surprise, spinning chaos to comedy where the unexpected lies. And how we do?
That was wonderful. The last time I was on your show, you awed me with the
Well,
poem to
you get a
introduce me.
fresh awe. You get a fresh awe each time
Yes.
you're on. I talk to Sylvia and I say, we gotta make them fresh. So gather around where the cool vibes sway, the cool kids sway, as we dive deep into creativity today, aka Radio Red's energy lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. Why don't we get a round of applause for the opening? And thank you all. Show's over, Patti. That was it. It was really easy, 12 minutes over it. I want to put on a round of applause here because can we get it up here? Oh, let's get the volume up. Hold on, hold on. It's coming. There we go. Okay. So much trouble with the sound effects. Okay. I put up the applause because I wouldn't have been able to make those introductions if you hadn't graced me with your origin stories. And I stopped asking people, Patti, I'm directing this to you because Anne and Ryan know this. I've stopped asking people for their bio because it's usually the jobs you've had and one or two things you've done, and that's it. I want origins. I want to know who you are, where you've been, what inspires you, what created your life path. That's what I'm. So thank you to the three of you for sending me enough to make those lovely poems. I appreciate it. Now what we're going to do is go around the table, and if I'm going to ask you if you want to fill in a couple blanks because 8 lines isn't nearly enough for a whole life. So, Patti Lee, I'm putting you on speaker view. You're a newcomer. Shout out to Mickey Mickelson for introducing you and bringing me Ryan again and Anne again. And just a big thank you and a virtual hug to Mickey. He's been really good to the show. Patti, is there anything you'd like to tell us more about you and who you are? I'm putting you on speaker view. Take a couple minutes and knock us out. Go ahead.
Well, you hit everything already. And again, thank you to Mickey for giving me this opportunity. Yeah, I started writing when I was 50 and I have to ask my daughter at the time, hold on, I'm 58. And I would love to, 57 maybe, I don't remember, but and 38 books. Like I've written 2 books, one published, one working on Tanya. We have a problem. I'm working on getting that out into the world, but I am in awe of 38 books. Like that's amazing. I would love to write that many books. I would love to write I mean, I'm happy to write a book a year, but I can't. So
Tell us what your books are about, Patti.
sure. So between February and November, that's the book that has been published, and that's the one. It was published in 2022, and it really didn't start taking up steam until I want to say 2023-ish, 2024. I've gotten a lot of really great feedback on that. So that's some people call it a love story. It's about Layla and Alan, and they have a little bit of a rift in their marriage. Layla sees Alan out and about with another woman, and she decides to follow them in her car, and it just takes off from there. And that was such a joy for me to write. I'd never written before. I didn't think I would ever be an author in a million years. But it had been sitting in my head for a while. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I have all the time stories in my head happening, and it never really occurred to me ever to write them down until one day that this story just would not leave me. So I decided to write it down, and it started off really short, and then it just got longer and longer and longer. And that's how Between February and November was born. It was such an exciting time for me. And then I just finished a new book called Tanya, We Have a Problem. And that's where Between February and November is a little deep and a little dramatic. Tanya, We Have a Problem is definitely a little on the wacky, crazy, funny side. And that's where Tanya wakes up after a night of maybe overindulging and realizes the man in her bed is not her husband, and she needs to figure out how to get out of that little bit of a mess, and how she needs to remember how she got into that mess. And lucky for her, she has a very good ride or die best friend named Bonnie, and they they have some adventures. Yeah. So and that was a lot of fun to write. And that actually an interesting story. That story, Tanya, We Have a Problem, was what I had originally set out to write. And it's so interesting when you start writing, at least for me, the characters decide what's happening. Like I wanted to write this funny, silly story, and I just kept getting pulled into another direction. And so I had to put Tanya on hold, and we had to bring up Layla and Alan.
I'm waiting for there's a confetti for what you just said, because I've written some romantic comedy plays, which the other two guests know, and my characters just told me who they were, what they looked like, what their moods were, what they were going to say, how they were going to say it, what they were going to do. They wrote the whole thing. In 3 nights, I wrote a play, and it was they just at 1 to 4 in the morning, and that's how I spend my time. And they just came to me. They just, so I know that feeling that the characters, the stories, Anne and Ryan, you agree that the stories are just there? They're just there. There's a storytelling part of the brain. We have to go to some of the physiologists who talk about how the brain is structured. We have to find that storytelling. Patti, anything else before I go on?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. That was lovely. I can't get over how sharp your microphone is. That's one of the best I've had. Jordan, my engineer, will touch base later. I think that's one of the best. I don't know why, but it's just really, really good. So you can start promoting those or getting, whatever.
As soon as I find out what it is, I will let you
know.
know.
She doesn't even know what it is. Okay, let's go to Ryan Melsom. I'm so happy to see you again. And you're doing my HB2U show with me on Wednesday. I'm so excited to have you back. Hey. Fill in the blanks. What have you been up to since you're on a month ago, 2 weeks ago?
Oh my gosh, yeah. When was
3 days ago?
So yeah, I guess, well, for what has been front of mind for me recently, I'm still promoting my brand new book called Gods of a New World. It came out this summer. It's my first one published through a traditional publisher. I did 2 indie books back about 10 years ago. So, but yeah, I think so it's interesting. Did you say 38 books, Anne? Is that correct? My goodness.
Almost 39 this month.
Okay.
You had to ask, Ryan. You had to ask.
Over the year. But anyway, yeah, I have a long history of like attempted and failed books leading to a certain age. I wrote one after undergrad that I'm very happy never saw the light of day in hindsight. But it's each time you kind of get a little bit further. One of the things I have done over the last 2 years that really coincided with writing is I got a black belt in karate, actually. And I found that was like this amazing, like there's something about that process where you commit and you keep doing it and you keep showing up, and then something like there's this result at the end of it. But if you make it about that result at the start, it's sort of you lose focus very easily, right? So I find that writing is the same kind of process for me. I love like just showing up day after day, and some days, I write stuff that is just quite, not even passable. And then other days I'll write stuff that I'm really like kind of amazed that this came to me. So yeah, that's a bit about like that. In terms of like interest, in terms of things I like to write about, I'm fascinated by where the world's headed. I'm fascinated by, technology and culture. I have a deep kind of past and interest in spirituality and kind of how that coincides with it. So all these things play out in my books in a wide variety of ways. Everything from, one that I've worked on uh, since I wrote The Gods of a New World is there's a demon lord hiding behind our devices and sort of draining the life force of humanity through our devices, So, if anybody's ever sat there and scrolled endlessly and looked
You're
at their
scaring me.
devices,
You know how many hours a day
it's
I sit in
Halloween,
front
right?
of-
It's the spooky month. But anyway, yeah. So and they're all kind of they're playful. I like a lot of humor in my books. So, it sounds
Same.
dark, but it's actually kind of like it's kind of just thrilling and fun. And I like,
Sounds like
horror movies and
fun.
stuff like that. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
I think
Very
that's maybe I'll stop there. And
Okay. Has
yeah.
anybody heard of, or I don't even know what it is, K-pop Demon Hunters? Everybody's talking.
Yes.
What is it?
I have a kid who's obsessed.
What
Me
is
too.
it? What is
Don't
it?
know.
Do you know? Is it a song? Is it a movie? Is it a book? What, it's a TV show?
Movie, and
Movie?
it's got
Okay.
some musical numbers in it, from what I gather.
Okay.
My daughter showed me, but honestly, it went. Pshh. It's like,
Okay.
don't need to
There's a
retain
guy.
that. So,
Okay. I have to take a look because it
but
just pops up all over the place. Ryan, what were you going to say?
Well, there's a guy named Abby in it, as in abs. Like he has so many abs, and like when people
uh,
see him, their eyes turn into abs. So that's what I got. Like
Patty, anything you
I'm
know about
piecing
it?
it together.
I have no idea about. I've heard of K-pop, but K-pop Demon Hunters, no, not in my sphere here.
I
Here.
think it was mentioned. I watched SNL, the 51st season just debuted Saturday, and I didn't realize it, so I watched it on demand yesterday. And I think they just kept mentioning it. I got to do something about it. At
I
least
don't like
find out.
demons.
I know. Well, Ryan said be sitting behind our devices.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just Ryan, you're scaring me now. I may not. I definitely won't sleep in my office tonight. We'll leave that one alone. And Charles, welcome back. And 39th book, we want to know. First of all, do you ever sleep? Second of all, what's the new book about? Which series is it in? Or are you starting a new series? And talk to me.
I can't do a new series. I daydream about starting a new series, but I have five, and if I drop one, I get a lot of fun crap from my readers. This is the third book in the Dig Site mystery series, and I put the last one out in 2017. So you can bet, as I'm telling everybody, read up again, get ready. I'm hearing a lot of, you took too long. You need to move faster on this, getting the Dig Site series going. My Deadwood series has 14 and running. And then my Jackrabbit I'll write next, and that's on book 7 or 8. I can't remember. So yeah, this one's a little behind, but it's archaeology, supernatural, the Maya. I get to create dig sites with every book. So I create a whole Maya site and what the purpose was, the history of the site. And then I get to explore it. And in this one, it's what was this site? It's the whole finding clues and trying to figure out what was the purpose of this site. And of course, since there's supernatural, and Anne Charles's writing, it's not quite, nice and it wasn't like a farming where they had tulips. It's pretty dark and pretty, bad stuff there. But it's fun because it's the mystery being what is this site? It's kind of different than what I've done in the past. So this is a fun kind of change for this series. But it's
Yeah.
called Chewed Up in the Jungle.
Do
Chewed
you
Up
have you
by
been
the
on a
Jungle.
safari? Are you an archaeologist? How do you know how to write this stuff?
I wanted to be an archaeologist. That was after Camel
Yeah,
Jockey.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, so archaeologist was on the list, but back then I thought, I was late high school, thought that's too much writing. I don't want to do that archaeology stuff. So now here I am writing instead, way more than I would have had I been an archaeologist. But there's less bugs involved, right, with this job. So this is pretty good. So I've just always loved archaeology, and I got hooked on the Maya in a college Spanish class our
Really?
Mexican history class, actually, sorry. And we talked about the Maya, and it just came to me, this female archaeologist working down there, and just it started coming way back in my early 20s, long, long ago. So that's how this Chewed Up by the Jungle came to be, dig site number 3. And I'm excited because this series takes me about 6 months to write a book because of the amount of research I have to do. Because I have fans that are archaeologists and anthropologists and all that. And boy, howdy, I can't blow this, right? I have to have the terms right. I have to have all kinds of stuff right. And then I've got to do the Maya mythology right. So yeah, it just takes longer. So I'm looking forward to moving into the Jackrabbit Junction, the next book in that, because that's much more fun, Arizona history, and just a lot of fun dialogue.
Prolific. And how do you hear from your fans? Do you have a fan page where they say, I like this one, I didn't like this one, you're taking too long? Where do you hear from them? What's the vehicle?
I am like a bad disease. I am everywhere, you know. I don't know if that works, a bad disease,
No,
but
no,
anyway.
we'll edit that out. Go ahead. Oh, too late. It's out. Okay.
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, you name most social net media things. I'm on it, unfortunately, because I've been around so long that I'm on a many, some a lot, some a little. I've got a YouTube channel now, which is why I'm really interested in what you said about that gentleman that
Yes.
does the cooking. That was really fun. So I'm trying to come up with ways to show writing on YouTube that would be more fun. TikTok, I dance. I don't dance, but I dance, in and out over there. So just all over, and then emails and newsletters. And then I just came back from the South Dakota Festival of Books,
Yep.
where I hung out with Mickey. We
Oh,
we met there
nice.
about 6 or 7 years ago, so it was
Yeah.
fun to hang out again. And
Very cool.
um, yeah, that was a lot of fans coming through, which was fun.
Nice. So you're busy in the fandom world. That's very, very cool. Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I have my different kinds of fans for my technology show and this show, but when I write my first book, I'm writing it under a pseudonym. So I won't be able to do interviews and book signings unless I wear big dark glasses and a very big hat. But it's possible I might be able to pull that off. I'll use Ryan, you're going to be my designer for that.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll work on that.
We'll
Thank
get a
you very
look for you.
Thank you all for the increased bios. Let's go to the quotes. Patti Lee has picked a quote from David Rose, played by Dan Levy. By the way, I forgot something. I'm so sorry. Everybody make the shape. Ann knows, Ryan knows, Patty is new. Make the shape of the letter L with either of your hands, please. I am so remiss. On the count of three,
Wait.
join me in saying hello, L, 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 just like that. 1, 2, 3. Hello,
Hello.
L,
L.
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 Jordan, would you please mark them down? They're not only the new number one, they're higher than the number one. That was so perfect. Three of you have the most amazingly clear microphones, and you just did that. It's the LLL. Lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener. She, at 6:01 p.m. Eastern Time, I will get an email from her, and she'll tell me, Patty, a little bit about what you said, and what Ryan said, and what Ann said. She does a little book report. And it's
Nice.
amazing the types of, you'll pick up what you say about your quote, and something about your book, and she'll say, beautiful, gorgeous lady of red. She calls me that, and it's very, very sweet of her. And she'll sign off, happy doing whatever, it was just the holidays and birthday and all that stuff. She's just a very sweet friend. I've known her. I met her in a dance class. I was not the teacher. I was the student many years ago in New York, and we became friends. And I haven't seen her in probably 15 years in person. And and before her, my cousin Freddie in his 90s in California was sending me emails after each show on Mondays.
Oh,
And before
nice.
that, my mom, until she passed at 100, was calling me at 8:01 when the show was on later. 8:01 every Monday night, the phone rang and she said, I love your show.
Aw.
Oh, what a good
Seriously.
mama.
So I have these three followers, and I don't need 800 million. I just need my three people who are there for me. So thank you very much. So now, Patty, thank you very much for that. I will go to your quote. David Rose, played by Dan Levy or Levy, some people say. Schitt's Creek, stylized with SCHITT $ Creek. It's a sitcom, 2015 to 2020 on CBS TV. Only 80 episodes, only 6 seasons. And the quote I am going to read from you is from season 1, episode 6, called Wine and Roses. It aired in Canada on February 10th, 2015. Actually, Dan Levy and Eugene, his father, created the series, which is very nice. And it's about a very rich family whose business manager embezzled their business, which was Rose Video. They lost their fortune, and they go to a motel in the middle of nowhere in a small fictional town named, and you know the name of the show, to adjust to their new life, but they're not adjusting. I watched a couple episodes, just wasn't for me. But Mara Rose, the mother, is hired as a spokesperson for a fruit winery, and she makes a disastrous commercial, and the family has to taste the very, very bad wine. But the quote is from an iconic scene where David is explaining his shall we say, intimacy preferences to his friend and a woman he's been with recently, Stevie Budd, played by Emily Hampshire. They're shopping for wine, and I will read the full quote if you don't mind, Patty, the whole
Of
scene.
course.
The two chat in a not so coded manner to clear up Stevie's confusion. Um, I do drink red wine, says David, but I also drink white wine. And I've been known to sample the occasional rosé. And a couple summers back, I tried a Merlot that used to be a Chardonnay, which got a bit complicated. I liked the wine and not the label. Does that make sense? That was the part that Patty, okay, pressure's off me now. I hope I did okay with that. Patty, I'm putting you back on speaker view.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with your creativity? Help us out. Go.
Well, for me, it has nothing to do with sexuality or anything like that. For me, it's just like I will read or I will write any kind of genre in fiction or I love documentaries. I love, true stories. I love all of these things. So for me, it's not necessarily, what you're seeing. It's really what you're getting. And so that's why that when I heard that quote, it resonated with me in that sense. It's not necessarily what you see. It is what you get.
I love the wine, not the label. Very,
Love the
very
wine,
interesting.
not the label. Yeah.
Any
Not
any
everybody is
comments
what you think.
around the table, Anne or Ryan? Anybody Ryan, go. Yeah.
I have one comment. I met Eugene Levy at the Governor General Awards in Canada and got my photo with him.
You're
But it
so
was like the
lucky.
flukiest thing. He sat in my row, and it was like that was, I think, my best celebrity sighting in my entire life. So
That's
Wow.
amazing.
yeah,
Very, very cool. Isn't it fun? I
love him.
once
So
saw
fun.
Elizabeth Taylor, I think when I was traveling in Europe when I was in my late teens, and I saw Elizabeth Taylor in an airport. I saw a couple of famous actors, and it was like,
Yeah, what do you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah. I
don't ask
bet.
for an autograph, just go, you got to get through security. So anyway,
I,
blah, blah, blah. If anybody remembers,
I,
yeah, go.
sorry. I have a brother named David. And so it drives him nuts because I do the David, and all the
Yes.
different ways they say his name on that show.
Hmm.
But it's fun having a brother now with that name.
There you go. See, you tell your brother it's finally come into a good time of life that you should have a brother named David. I'm very happy for him. Okay, Ryan, I'm going to your quote. This is a lovely one. It's a lyric from Leonard Cohen's song titled Anthem. Leonard Norman Cohen, GCGOQ, passed away in 2016. Canadian singer, songwriter, poet, novelist, writing about faith, morality, isolation and depression, betrayal and redemption, social and political conflict, sexual and romantic love, desire, regret, and loss. In 2023, Rolling Stone named him the 103rd greatest singer. And his most famous song was not Anthem, but that was close. It was Hallelujah, released in 1984. In 1992, he released his ninth album, The Future, and one of the three popular tracks was Anthem. And what made it so popular was Anthem, Waiting for the Miracle, and The Future were featured in the movie Natural Born Killers, which brought Leonard Cohen's popularity to a whole new generation of listeners. And I'd like to read a quick anecdote, if I may, Ryan, before I give the quote.
Go
In,
nuts.
in 1967, he was disappointed with his lack of success as a writer. He moved from Canada to the United States to pursue a career as a folk music singer-songwriter. In the 1960s, he was actually a fringe figure in Andy Warhol's factory crowd. Cohen's song Suzanne became a hit for Judy Collins. I think I remember that. And for years, it was his most recorded song. She recalls that when she first met him, he said he couldn't sing, he couldn't play the guitar, he didn't even think Suzanne was a song. And then he played Suzanne for her. And she said, Leonard, you must come with me to this big fundraiser I'm doing. Jimi Hendrix is going to be there. She said Leonard had never sung in front of a large audience before then. He got out on stage and I'm getting goosebumps, started singing. Everybody was going crazy. They loved it. He stopped halfway through, walked off stage. Everybody went nuts. They demanded he come back, and I demanded, I'll go out with you. So we went out and we sang it, and that was the beginning. Is that a beautiful story? Had you
Incredible.
heard that before?
No.
Yeah, I love to do my homework looking these up. So I'm going to read the quote now. Ring the bells that still can ring. I'm going to cry. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And this is what I tell people when I mentor young people. I say, if you see a crack in the window or the door is open, push the damn door open, raise the window and see what's on the other side because it might be something for the rest of your life. Ryan, didn't mean to steal your quote, but I love it. So
No.
go ahead. What does this have to do with your creativity?
Well, Um, I think that for me, the creative process is about looking at the things I see every day and trying to find what still speaks in those things, right? So, the idea of the cracked bells, some bells crack over time. It's hard to really connect, emotionally sometimes and really like feel the kind of import of these situations. So I think I'm always looking for that crack. I think that that's probably at least part of what Leonard Cohen was talking about when he wrote that incredibly intensely beautiful lyric. Yeah, I think that, it's funny because there's even in like the most kind of banal things, like one of my favorite writers in my 20s was Douglas Copeland, who wrote Generation X, and his writing was like he was taking like shampoo and like McDonald's and like the most like random like seemingly kind of generic things and like finding this meaning like hiding in all these things. So I think that that's something that I always try to do when I write. And yeah. And yeah, Leonard, you just can't beat him for turning out a good lyric.
No.
So
Very, very
that's
interesting.
why I landed on that one.
Beautiful quote. Anything from Anne or Patty about the quote? It's just lovely. Patty?
It was
I have
very
never
nice.
heard that before. I love Leonard Cohen, and I really appreciate you doing so much homework. I have to say,
Oh,
Red, that you
thank
do
you.
amaze me. That's a beautiful. Thank you. I can't. I'm not. I am also going to have to go listen to Suzanne. I have never heard that song either. So
Yep. See, a lot of good lessons here. And let's go to Anne Charles. Anne has picked a quote from Anne Elliot, Anne with an E, played by Dakota Johnson. The film was Persuasion, 2022 American historical romance film based on Jane Austen's 1817 novel. Anne says this in the early stages of her family's financial crisis. But however, Anne, it was not a well-received film because they modernized it. They had a fourth wall. They added humor and they broke with the spirit of the novel. But let me just give you a little bit more. The story begins 7 years after Anne has broken off her engagement to Frederick Wentworth, a young and at the time undistinguished naval officer. He was clever, confident, ambitious, but he had low social status. Oh no! And he didn't have the wealth that made her family and friends say, not good for marriage, don't marry him. Lady Russell, a distant relative who was basically Anne's second mother after her own mother died, persuaded Anne break off the damn engagement. I don't think she said it quite that way. A lot of interesting people in the movie, but the film adds a contemporary comedic twist to Jane Austen's second chance romance, which led to mixed reactions. Some people said, "Oh, it's so witty, it's so modern," and others said, this does not keep with the tone. But this is a phrase, apparently, that Anne Elliot leans into the microphone and she says this, breaking the fourth wall, please let this be easy. And that really irritated a lot of people. Okay, Anne Charles without the E, what does this mean to you?
So, yes, it was not well received. And I have through college, read all of these classics. It was part of my creative writing degree. And I'm not a purist. I just love a good story. So when I sat down at night to watch Persuasion, my family had kids had gone to bed. My husband went to bed early that night. And I thought, I'm wide awake. I need to chill, come down, relax. And I'm going to try this new Persuasion and see how I like it. And I knew that story. It's not one of the favorites, of course, of most people. It's not Pride and Prejudice, of course. But I watched it without having a clue what I was in for. And wow, the whole breaking the fourth wall, the whole thing, the modern thing, like she pulls out her keepsakes in it. And instead of, like we used to have cassette tape playlists when I was a kid that we'd make, or, however you do it now with modern technology, she has a playlist of all these, songs, paper songs that you might play on the piano for him. So I just thought it was clever. If you can step outside that, yes, this is not the exact story, but if you can step outside and just watch it for the fun of, the show, I love it. Please let this be easy. I can't tell you how many times I will do something writing. I will come up with, okay, I think I'm gonna do this book. Like this last dig site book. I decided I was going to start each chapter with either one of the main characters, either writing in his field notes or speaking something, and kind of having an intro to chapters. It's fun for me to do stuff like that. And then at the end, I would write field notes like they do in a lot of nonfiction books that are, archaeology. And please let this be easy. And time and again, I think, oh, what did I do? This is so hard. 14th book of my Deadwood series. I'm going to write a caper. A caper should be fun. I haven't done a caper in this series, so that'll be the theme kind of feel. That should be easy. Capers are, light, easy, fun stuff. No, not even. It was just like, oh boy, these are tough. So often, please let this be easy, as well as with our kids, teenagers, older teenagers. It's like, oh, please let this be easy. We say that all the time now, and the kids are like, "Ah, you can't keep using that line." So it's just a fun line that I love the way it's said in the movie, and I use it a lot for life.
I think so. I think the other one I think a lot of people at least used to use for life is do or do not, there is no try. Remember the Yoda line?
Right.
That's
Right.
something I think is a good byline for a good buzzword for I'm going to do it or I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to try to do it. I was using that for a long time, but this I like. I like this a lot. As a matter of fact, and thank you all for the quotes, that leads into the creativity statement. I'm going to read one from each of you. We'll go around the table after. Patty, I'll ask you to expand yours or unpack it, as they say on the news. I don't say that in the news anymore. They just go all over the place. Anyway, and then we'll see if Ryan and Ann have anything to say. I'll do one for Ryan and one for Ann. But I was going to use Patty's first statement, which is interesting. Ann, you just brought it up. Creativity is allowing myself to do something just for fun. I think I'm going to pick that one anyway, because Patty says, trying to do something just for fun without fear of failure. When my husband and I bought our current home, I wanted a large piece of art, a painting above the sofa. I priced pieces. I decided I'd just do it myself. And I did. I started painting and I enjoyed it. So I painted a whole bunch of them. And now I take special requests and I've even sold some in our local gallery. So
Wow.
relate this to your creativity. It doesn't have to be about your writing, your painting, the fun, no fear of failure. That's the key I'd like you to address. Patty, go ahead, please.
Well, I in the painting, I had no fear of failure because it was just for me and it was just something I wanted over my sofa. My mom, I don't want to say she was an artist, but she was very artistic and she knew how to paint. I did not know how to paint. I tried painting well, maybe way before I started writing, and I didn't realize I was creative at all. Like I would have never considered myself a creative person. And maybe it is because I'm afraid of failure. I don't know. But for the painting, I didn't really care. And and then when I painted it and then people saw it, they were like, "Oh, you painted that?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then my son-in-law was like, "Can you paint me a galaxy?" And I'm like, what?" And then he sent me a picture and I was like, "Yeah, I'll try." And so I did, and they loved it and they framed it and it's hanging in their living room. And there's the paintings behind me I also painted. My husband had snapped a picture and I was like, "Oh, I'll try to paint that." And so I painted it. It's just something that for me, it didn't matter if somebody else thought it was good or bad. It was for me because I wanted to do it. In writing, on the other hand, that's a little different. That there's a lot for me for the writing and fear of failure. Because even though I'm writing for myself, also I'm writing for other people. Like I want other people to really enjoy the stories that I'm writing. And I don't know if you guys ever read reviews. And from what I understand, people, established writers don't really care about reviews. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I find the reviews to be very helpful to me, even the ones that are not so kind and negative. But again, there's that fear of, are people going to hate this book? Like, is anybody even going to read this book? Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I can't even imagine going back to Anne and her 38 books. I can't even imagine going through that same process, every time I write a book and put it out there on the world.
Thank you. We're going to go around the table because we've got two established writers here. Anne, why don't you go first? What do you think about reviews? Do you read them? Do you care? Do you answer them, Anne?
I don't read them. I stopped a long time ago because it's like something I get obsessed about, and it affects me when I'm trying to create the next book because I start writing for people, more than the joy of it myself and telling the story to myself. And one of the things I tell, because I write a lot of humor, if I'm not finding it funny, well, then it's not funny and I need to figure out how to make it funny. But if I start letting other people's voices in my head and telling me what they think's funny, well, then I've got a problem because I don't, really put my heart into it as much. So yeah, reviews are, I just read something lately that said somebody who's done really well, and if I'd have known how many bad reviews I would need to make my first million, I would have wanted more early on.
Ooh.
So it was a real neat twist on bad reviews. And I was like, oh, that's a great way to start thinking about it. I need more. So that, because you're not, of course, thinking of all the good ones.
They're the bad reviews. Okay. I had to do that.
I have to say one quick thing.
Yeah.
I have written 38. This is 39 coming out, but I am slow. I am a turtle. It's
Really?
been 13 years for me to write this many. And I write big books, but my friends, they talk about 60, 90, 100 plus, and I'm always like, well, I write what I write. I'm a turtle.
But it's
So,
not a contest. It's not how many gold stars you have on the honor roll chart in third grade anymore. This is about what you're doing in your life. That was
right.
just me talking anyway. Ryan, thoughts as an established writer? Do you read reviews? Do you care?
Um, I have not had a ton of opportunity to read reviews. I would say that for me, what this conversation really elicits for me is this idea of the fear of failure. So I think for a long time as a writer, as a creative person, just I've had, a wide variety of like multimedia things. I used to be in a rock and roll band and all kinds of stuff. But like, for me, like there was always this conflict between doing it for like some vision of success versus like really enjoying the process of doing it. And so yeah, so that's where I see like the voice of the critic. My day job, like I still have a day job and I take like just brutal feedback on my day job. This is just a fact of life in the
Mm,
industry. I do a lot of like stakeholder consultations, these complicated interpersonal political kind of dynamics in what I do. And
mm.
so like when it comes to writing actually now, like I'm just like, all right, like take the good, take the bad. I think the big like the shifting point with this conflict for me had to do with just hitting a point in my life where I cared a little less. Like, and so like, and also just knowing myself a little better because then it could be like, I'm like, okay, I agree with that, or I really don't agree with that. That's not, like you missed it or you didn't understand it. So like, up until a certain age, I would say like maybe 40, maybe 45, like I was, really like I took everything like deeply personally and it hurt. And then like after that, now I'm like, I know when I've done something I'm proud of and
Yeah.
I'm like I can stay confident in that. I obviously want to connect. I want it to connect with people. I don't want to just be sort of belligerent or like obnoxious about it, but at the same time, like I think there's a maybe a relief. I have a running theory that it's like you start to suffer like a cognitive deficit after you get over past a certain age, and it actually makes you like more like joyful and less susceptible to criticism just because like I'm not as smart as I used to be. I was way smarter when I was like
I
20.
don't think it's a cognitive deficit,
No, no,
Ryan.
no. I'm still curious. I
I
still
think it's
learn.
world weary and world wisdom. I would use
Maybe that's
those.
it.
I think so. I took some brutal feedback from neighbors when I started my TV show, an Access TV show in New York years ago, and people were saying, "Oh, I don't like that you wore slacks and you didn't cross your feet at the ankles and your lipstick was the wrong color and why'd you look so pale?" And I wanted to go to this woman and say, would you like to try it? You want to do this? I didn't. I didn't. But after a while, I just stopped. I just stopped. And people would say to me, "Oh, how many listeners do you have? And how many downloads do you have?" And I say, "Listen, you want to come on my show and be part of a valuable conversation and enjoy yourself, that's fine. If you're more interested in the metrics, go to somebody who's telling you they have 200,000 downloads a week because I don't know and I don't care." And I take that, Anne and Ryan and Patty, as a form of feedback. I know the shows are good. I know people are enjoying them. I don't need that. So it's not I didn't like your book. It's I have something else I want to listen to. So anyway, there you go. I've stopped caring about those numbers. Let me move on to Ryan, and thank you, Patty, for that. Ryan, I'm going to combine your statements number one and two.
Sounds good.
Looking at the clock, we got about 12 minutes left. Plenty of time for you and for Anne. I want to read you all one of my poems at the end. I think we'll appreciate it. Ryan says, I write to make sense of the world, That's number one. Number two, my process involves loading up my unconscious with certain topics that interest me and then seeing where they take me. Okay, you want to combine those for me, Ryan, briefly? It's going to take about 2 minutes.
Well, I mean, I think that the statement, I thought about that statement for a long time. It was a hard assignment in the first place, but
Oh.
yeah, no, I think that that's exactly it. I think that, let's see, the world is like without sort of thought, it's just sort of a chaotic jumble of things, and I think that um, so I think that like thought is a process of clarification, and for me, like I really enjoy that process. And I guess when it comes to writing, I think that like there are certain themes that sort of stay chaotic and messy in people's minds. So I was talking, about AI and trillionaires and, life extension and all these kinds of things in my book. So what I did was I just loaded up as much of a mess as I could into my head and then started to clarify the thought of, like how do you actually make sense of this? How do you do it? And so for me, like in terms of writing, it came down to like a very human story. It's about how like a not trillionaire, how like just sort of a, average schmo like can like look can deal with this world and somehow make sense of it. So the writer, the character's process became my process of clarifying all that. I think I do that across all my writing. So yeah, love a real messy subconscious and then see where it goes from there.
Thank you very much. Any comments, Anne or Patty? Any thoughts about that? Okay. Patty, you good?
Speechless. Yeah.
Speechless. Oh, speechless. There you
So
go.
deep, just so deep. It's just deep.
That's just who Ryan is. Absolutely. Talking about deep, I'm going to move on to Anne's statements. Anne, I'm combining number 1 and number 4. I'd love to hear your answers on these. So Anne says, I didn't go into this writing career thinking I was being creative. I just wanted to tell stories that would make readers laugh a lot, maybe cringe a little, but escape from life's troubles nonetheless. Okay, Ryan's nodding. You understand. Now, number 4. Before I sit down to create a scene, I have to be able to see it like a movie in my head. And if it's boring on that screen, I know it's not going to fly on the page. I've had a lot of writers, hundreds on the show, maybe thousands, and I've never heard it stated that way. So could you tell us about the movie, please?
I'm very visual. I didn't know this going into writing. It's just something that as I've gone along, like I'll meet people say, "Did you read this book? Have you read this person's book? Have you read this?" I'll say, "No, but I've binged this and I've watched this and and I really study movies. I study their body language to see how they're doing it. And then I think, how will I put that on the page? How do you go, how do you tell that on the page to give the right emotions to the readers?" So I'm always trying to take real life and figure out how to write it, in this flat format we have. And so when I start, right now I'm working on a bonus scene want to write for this third dig site book, something that I'll just do for marketing for my newsletter readers and all these, Patreon people so that they get a bonus. So I want to write this extra scene and I left myself little holes not holes, but little places in the story where I thought I could fill that in more if I really wanted to. And so now I'm just trying to picture which scene it is, what I'm doing. And I keep, having the cast come in and act out something. And I'm like, no, that's not going to work. Let's see what else we can do. And I just have learned over all this time that if I can't see it, if it's not working, then it's not right. I need to shift. I need to walk through a door and see a different, background, a different setting. And that will help me to see what I need to write.
I like that. And Ryan, in your notes to me, you already also said you're a visual writer. You want to add a little bit to what Anne said?
Yeah, I mean, that's just a beautiful description of that process. And like, really, I think for me, it's slightly different. So I picture or envision something. It doesn't have to be completely concrete for me. I deal in a lot of just abstraction, across the board. But I think for me, the experience of translating it onto the page and to something written it's a very visceral experience, and I continuously go with my gut as I do it. So like I am appalled if I have the vision in my head and the words I'm writing are not aligning with that vision,
Right.
and I have to go back and do it again and again and again. I've had to throw out scenes or like completely, and you've
Really?
given me like great ideas about like walking into a different room or looking at it from a different background, because it's a visceral experience. Like I want to, puke if I'm like writing something that
Well,
that I just
and
can't stand.
That's visceral. Go ahead, Ann.
there's so many times when and I'm such a dunce, I feel like, because I do this over and over, and I'll sit there trying to fit that square peg through the round hole, and I'm like, why can't I see this? And then it's like this voice that's been kicking back, I don't know, maybe having a few drinks, just goes, yeah, remember, this is not going to work. If we can't see it, it's not going to work. Change it, change the setting, change the characters, change the topic, and it'll work. And so after all this time, I still go through this, but I just think there's so much for me, like if I can watch it, if I can see it, if I can picture it. I like to think of myself as a director rather than a writer. I'm directing the screenwriting thing that I did and putting it on the page.
Interesting. Interesting. Patti, any thoughts about that?
That resonates so much with me because it is just like that. I'm like, okay, take two, up, take three, take
Yeah.
four. We got to try it again because we see it in our head and we get it on the paper and we reread it and it's not exactly right. And so we just keep trying. Yeah, I totally get that.
Just keep trying. I'm going to read, thank you. I'm going to read one quick statement from Patty's number 4 and go around and give you each about 30 seconds to answer this. Patti says, I like to write in the early morning hours before work. My mind is open, not yet bogged down from the 9 to 5. I've learned that I like to write in the quiet. Okay, Patti, you get 30 seconds to add to that if you want to, and then Ryan and then Ann.
The only thing I would add to that now is I have to make sure there are no animals around me either. Because when I say quiet, like I need the quiet, like 4 to 6 or 5 to 7.
What kind of animals are we talking about?
Cats and dogs. I have 2 dogs and 4 cats. And now that I have the little dog, the cats don't bother me so much. But yeah, it has to be. I need complete quiet. No music, no noise, nothing.
A lot of people write with background music. I usually ask that question. Ryan, what about you? Quiet? Where do you like to write briefly?
Not so much quiet, but I like a sort of slight mix of chaos in there. So I used to write in coffee shops a lot.
I was going to ask.
I have kids, they come in, they bug me for various things. So like I definitely like to isolate and sort of have a generally contained experience when I write, but from there, what happens, I try to stay open to it. Don't always succeed depending on how.
And what about you? Quiet, music, coffee shop, public, garden, what time of day? What do you write?
You're looking at the place where I write.
Beautiful.
Music. I do like music. Sometimes it's just really low, cortisol stimulating music. Sometimes it's a song that I find that really resonates, and maybe it's a scary song that I'm writing a scary scene, and I'll just hit playback and listen to it like 50 times. But it's just there in the background. So yeah, if I'm in the house, I have a laptop and I work inside too, but my lovely kids, I'm mom. So, hey mom, hey mom, hey mom. So I can't do it in there as well. I have to be away.
Pantser or platter? And you go first.
I did that word. What did I say? Planter or
planter with 2 T's. Yes,
planter. It's a big mix. I'm all over the place and I can't follow an outline to save my soul. So I just do an outline just to show the left side of my brain that we've got something and we should invest time and marketing into it. And then the right brain goes.
Yeah. I like that. Ryan, pantser or platter or hybrid?
I think very much the same. I have a trajectory. I like planter. That's good. Yeah, I have a trajectory. I know kind of the shape of it, but I don't get too rigid in the way that that's going to unfold. And it really is character driven. So, yeah.
Patti, pantser or platter?
Pantser. It just unfolds as it unfolds.
Okay. Well, I've written most of my novella. Ann knows about this, and I'm almost done, but I woke up about a week ago and I said to myself, I forgot to put this in. I forgot to put that in. I need to add these 8 characters who were introduced during the book in the final scene because they need to be in the audience. So I got to go back and do a scan in Word and find out where their names were, remember who they were and add them. So I'm almost using the whole novella as my outline because I've already written it and filling in, and I'll say, well, this person really, the way it ended up, I didn't put enough into this character or that. So I'm going back. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I want to read you a quote and then a poem I wrote, and then we're going to wrap this up. So hold on now. Here, I belong to a poetry group at Writers Digest. On Wednesday, we get a prompt from the moderator early on Wednesdays, and this was July 24th, 2024. I've written about 700 poems. I do 3 to 5 a week, and during April and November, I do 3 to 5 a day. We get a prompt every day. This prompt was write a poem about a night shift. So I used it for an acrostic, NIGHT, SHIFT, and I will lean forward as I hit each letter in the word, okay? This is for all of you. Never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative. Going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing, highs and lows, flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days are the nights, are the days again, shifting off and on, into and out of gear, hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster, finding eureka, euphoria amid fears, frustrations. Thus is the life of the creative. What do you think?
That's amazing. You are so good.
She is.
It just, I read it almost every week on the show, and it talks to me. I use it, I stopped my therapy, so this is my therapy. Thank you. I'm going to read my closing now. In 2014, this is for Patti, because I think Ann and Ryan have heard this. I closed the shows with the top 10 tips for women, and this was number 1. This was 2014. Remember that. Aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. There you go. Okay. That was, and I saved my notes. So closing words. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. I'm still trying to learn. Kiss slowly. Oh, yes. Love truly. Laugh uncontrollably. Laugh with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And never, ever regret anything that made you smile or laugh. Final closing. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like nobody's watching. When I danced, they watched. Sing like nobody's listening. And love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Money talks. Chocolate sings. La. And last but not least, I stole this line from somebody. Thank you for turning me on. I appreciate all of you. Let's see if I find the closing music here. Here we go.
On Read My Lips Radio,
it still says the old name. I'll have to get that changed.
akaRadioRed invites you to eavesdrop on her live, unscripted conversations with smart, savvy, creative people as she discovers what makes them tick, where they find their inspiration,
we know what makes you
when
tick
creativity first became their passion, and how their creative process can inspire the rest of us to think out of the box. Enjoy akaRadioRed's always lively, cool conversations with creatives.
You're creative.
Oh, how those lips can talk.
Wave goodbye, everybody. Wave goodbye. That's the music.